Alright guys, today we're going to be dyeing, or attempting to dye, this frame here from PSA, the Dagger frame. This is in flat dark earth. We're going to be trying to dye it kind of a blue titanium color. I got the Rid dye, the Polymer, the synthetic. From everything I've seen online, this is the stuff you want to use. You don't have to use this color obviously, but you want to get the synthetic Polymer. Other things we're going to need, I've got some cake pans here. One I'm going to use to heat up the water, and the other one I'm going to use as a rinse tank. You can use pans if you have them. I don't have any pans laying around that are stainless steel, and apparently stainless steel is the only one that you want to use unless you're going to toss it. I've got a little spatula here to stir the mix once I put it in. I've got some tongs here to move around the receiver when I have it in the dye. I also have some glam gloves, some rubber gloves that will be good to use so you don't dye your hands. And then in addition to that, I've got some paper plates where I'm going to put the receiver after I've finished dyeing it to let it finish drying out. And in addition to that, you will also need some Dawn soap to rinse your part out real well. Make sure there aren't any, or there isn't any oils or grease on it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put the glam gloves on just because I want to keep this whole process as sterile as possible once I've started degreasing. Alright, now we will go ahead and wash the part. Okay, I also wanted to mention I was able to get all of this stuff at Walmart for about $40, I think, in total. The FDE State Dagger, obviously not included in that price, but they do have great prices on blems and just the regular ones right now. I think I paid about $57 for this blem, and I haven't seen anything wrong with it, so. Now we're going to go ahead and wash the parts. Alright, now I'm going to take the glam gloves, put those on. Get the Dawn soap ready to go. And then start washing this as best as I can. Getting rid of all the grease that I am able to. So I'm just going to get in all the nooks and crannies. Just kind of rub it down. If you have a brush, you could use that as well. But we're just rubbing it down to get any grease off. And I'm actually going to go grab an old toothbrush and use that to help clean. Okay, just take the brush and get in all those little nooks and crannies. Go inside the magazine well. Now there are different ways to do this. Some of them include acetone, some of them include vinegar. I can't really use acetone inside in my apartment here, and I don't have an option to go outside. So I'm just going to use the hot water method with the dye. There's also some that say you should use vinegar. I was unable to really find any videos on that, but I'm going to do my best here to get this all degreased. So as you can see, I've really gotten all in there. Now I'm going to start washing it. You want to make sure you get all this soap out, otherwise that'll kind of act as a barrier for the stain, for the dye, I should say. Alright, so I'm almost done washing up here. And then I'm going to leave this out to dry on the coat hanger. And I'm not going to use a paper towel or anything to dry this off, because I don't want it to leave any in the texture here. I don't want anything left behind. And a paper towel or a cloth may leave some fibers behind, and I just don't want that. Okay, as you can see here, I've got the receiver hanging from a coat hanger, just letting it dry naturally like that. Once it dries completely, we will go ahead and continue the dyeing process. Okay, now that the receiver is almost dry, I'm going to put some water in here and start heating it up. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and turn the oven on. And we want this water to almost be boiling. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill up the rinse tray as well. Now we just wait for the water to heat up, and you want it to be around 180 to 200 degrees from what I've seen online. And we're just going to wait for that to happen. And for when I put the gun down after it's been dyed and in the wash tank, these aren't the paper plates that have the plastic on top of them, so I'm probably going to use, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them, just so it doesn't bleed through onto the countertop here. Alright, as far as it goes is when it comes to taping off the serial number here, I'm just gonna leave it. I think this is probably maybe a stainless steel, and if it is a stainless steel it shouldn't stain, but hence the name stainless steel. But I'm not going to tape it over. If you want to tape it over, do so at your own discretion. I just think that the dye will leak through the tape, pretty much whatever you use, with the heat involved as well. So since the water is getting there in temperature, what we want to do is we want to shake this RIT dye very well. There is a cap on it, a little cover. You want to take that off. Before or after shaking, I guess it doesn't really matter. And we just want to shake this very well. Now the water is almost at a boil right now. Just give it a few more minutes and we will begin the dyeing process. Okay, the water is seconds away from boiling now, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the RIT Dye-More. This synthetic stuff is supposed to dye the plastic very quickly, so you don't want to use too much of it, or you don't want to leave it in too long, I should say, depending on your desired color. And what we're going for is kind of a light blue on here, a titanium, blue titanium type of color. So the water is hot enough now. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the burner. I'm going to give it a few more seconds. I'm going to go ahead and put in the RIT dye first. Okay, the water is hot enough now, so I'm going to go ahead and put some of the RIT dye in. I see people using capfuls, and that's probably what I'm going to do here. And I don't know, I'm just going to put a few in to start with and see how that goes. We can always add more. Okay, so I'm going to grab some paper plates to put the utensils on when I'm not using them after they have been in the dye. So now I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. I'm going to turn the burner off and I'm going to start mixing this. Just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and put the receiver in. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to take the tongs to keep it moving around. I don't want to leave it in one place too long. Flipping it over a little bit. But I think this is going to turn out nice. We're going to let it sit here maybe about 5 minutes. I didn't see any great timetable on how long you're supposed to leave it in, but I did hear that the Dymore synthetic, you don't want to leave it in too long if you don't want that dark of a color. So it dyes quickly. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the burner on, but not as high, because we want to keep it at this temperature the whole time we're mixing. As you can tell, I'm not the most patient person in the world, but oh, you can definitely see it's starting to take now. Definitely doing something. I think you can see it now. It almost looks kind of gray. At least in person. So we're going to leave it in here for more time. Come back in a little bit. Right now it looks kind of gray, but there are parts of it that are more blue. So give it some more time. And I'm going to actually add a little bit more dye. Okay, so I used one whole container. One whole jug, whatever you want to call it. Let's mix it around. Now this was a very light blue that I used, the RIT dye, so it may not come out as deep as I was hoping for, but in the video I did watch, he did use a very light blue, so we'll just have to see what happens. Oh yeah. Now you can see it turning blue. I'll zoom in a little on the camera so you guys can see that better. Okay, let me pull it out and let me show you. You can see it's a nicer blue now, and the dye is taking. And this might be about as dark as I want to go with it. I'm going to leave it in for a little bit more, but I think that's about as dark as I'm going to go with it. Yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. Now I'm going to go ahead and try and drip off any extra dye and get it into the wash tank. As you can see, that came out a very nice blue. We'll get some close-ups after it's done drying. So I'm just going to move it around a little bit more in the wash tank. Looks like everything dyed well. I'm going to go ahead and hang it right here. And let it dry. You can turn off the stove now. Now we just wait for it to dry. I'm going to give it a quick wash in the sink just to make sure all the dye is off. Alright, leave it back up to hang and I'll get you some close-up shots once it's all done and drying. Now as far as cleanup goes, I know you only really want to rinse this out in a stainless steel sink. So I'm really hoping this is a stainless steel sink. But I got the thing into the sink here. We're just going to pour it out. Wash it out. Add some soap. And just give it a good wash. If you've got throwaway pans, like I know I kind of bought these to be throwaway pans, but I might want to use them again for another dye. I'm just going to clean them off and wait till next time. So it didn't stain the sink. No. Yeah, it didn't stain the sink, and it didn't stain the pan either, actually. And with your wash dish, you want to do the same thing, or with your wash pan, you want to do the same thing, and just clean it out and save it for next time. But yeah, this didn't really have any effect on the pan or the sink, thankfully. utensils that we used, the spatula and the tongs, can also be washed. Alright, we've been letting this thing dry for a little while now, and it's dry to the touch. I'm going to go ahead and take it off, and I just want to show you guys how great this turned out. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful color of blue. Not too deep. It looks a little darker in the shadows, but in the light it's just a beautiful, beautiful blue. Exactly what I was going for. Nothing happened with the serial number. There is a little bit of... Come on, focus. There is a little bit of blue around the numbers, but it did not stain the plate at all. And I'm just... can't be happier with this. This just turned out great. Now, let's talk about what other colors would probably work with this. You could do a deeper blue and it would come out even deeper. Purple would probably work. You could probably get it almost to look straight purple if you dyed it with a deep enough purple. Orange might do something kind of cool. Red, black obviously. But I do think it would be pretty cool if PSA is watching, and I hope they are, if you guys made a sand colored or even just a white colored frame, so we could really have fun with the different colors, dyeing them whatever color we want with that. So I couldn't be more happier with this build, and I think I'm going to do a few more of these, but it just turned out gorgeous. Very nice. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know. Also, I do not know what color slide I'm going to put on this. If you guys have any opinions on that, drop it down in the comments, and I will show you guys this once it's all back together and complete. Thank you.